The things that aren't risky aren't usually worth people's time. They're not significant. The most significant things are significant because if it went wrong, the detriment was massive.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And if it goes right, everything that's even more massive.
Exactly. So I've just really, like with the risk of me starting a business or getting in the apartment or going to a different state, like I've taken so many risks and I obviously haven't been 100%, but so many have seen like through and like ended up actually being like prosperous. Bro, I don't even hesitate. Like sometimes I'm like too quick on a risk. Fuck it, I do it. You know, like it's.
I think from like I was literally watching obviously a sermon when I came down here, and you know, the preacher was essentially saying that people should be setting goals of how much tithes they're willing to pay, and that's how they're gonna get blessed. Basically, like if you're thinking about how much money you're gonna make, but think about how much you can give. So in that same example, wouldn't you think it would be a good opportunity to, instead of goal setting, set how many risks you're taking per month?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's almost just like a different way of really scaling your business, and it's not the norm. You're thinking about how many risks should I take every single month. So you're looking for the first opportunity to take risks if you know how important taking risks are.
And you can get really strategic with that. Like you can like really like start mapping out, okay, this risk has a possibility of going X, Y, Z, but it has a probability of like me getting more income, getting more freedom, getting this car I want, this house, whatever you're searching to like achieve. You can get very like methodic, I don't know how to say it, but you can get very strategic with mapping that out.
How many risks? Yeah, scaling your risk.
The risk to reward.
Yes. Yeah. Scaling your risk. Because I know I read Bill Gates reads up like to 120 books a year, so I started to listen to a book an hour.
Yeah.
So that's like an average book is usually like between 5 to 7 hours. An hour a day, that's a book a week, 4 books a week. So like, what if you start scaling your risk down to the T?
Yeah. And it's really like, bro, we spend so much time like doing shit that doesn't matter. Like it's war. Like our mind is like a victim of war. Like of people that create these social media platforms. Like these aren't unintelligent people. These are people that are doctors that have literal like understand the human psychology and are trying to take your attention span away from you. And like if we're able to understand that and like declare war, there's like a book I read, like the 33 Strategies of War. Most people mess up, or a lot of people mess up because they don't declare war on the thing that is attacking them. And they are in a constant perpetuate state of, hey, this is okay, this is not war, I'm here, I'm able to do this, I'm able to, like, no, this is like an attack on our attention span, on our ability to focus, on our ability to retain information. And look, it's so broad. You have toddlers, iPad kids, and you have grandmas, both on the same app.
So how would you differentiate what you should wage war on for somebody who's not as conscious as you, or has not indulged in reading as nearly as many as book? Like, what is a step system that you would take them through to decide what they need to be taking, you know, warfare on consciously?
Yeah.
Like, how would you break this down and prepare somebody that may not be aware that there's a war going on? Like, what would like kind of...
You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Like, is this thing I'm doing bearing fruit? If it's not, it has to go. If it is, how fast is the fruit? Like, how fast is the fruit growing? How much, like, what is my return on investment for investing so much time in my screen time? Right. And my ability to, like, me eating bad food. Like, there is a multitude of different, again, from eating, social media, friends, and money are the 4 most like prevalent things to my knowledge that people can declare war on an enemy and fix those 4 things. Right. So identifying properly what is like taking your time or your money or your freedom or your health, and reversing that and attacking whatever's attacking you.
Right.
That's what I think.
Sure.
Yeah. What about like? Is there anything that you've done that before?
Wage war against?
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of social media, because if you understand the power of attention, you understand the power of your mind, and not just feeding your mind anything. You understand.
That's why they call it a feed.
Yes, like social media is like one of those things where obviously it could be. You got to have a sound mind.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the business, I probably wouldn't be on social media a lot. I would spend time, creating things so social media could consume it.
Yeah.
So with my line of work, it's just having that balance of reaching out to people, understanding what's going on, being in the know versus being isolated from the know.
Yeah, and I want to even say, like, it's easy for me to declare war or see the enemy now, but like, there is deliberate attacks on each one of these things. Your health. People, I mean, we have the unhealthiest food on the planet. We spend the most money in healthcare, and we have the unhealthiest population.
Right.
There is man-made ingredients that have been directly linked to cancer, ADHD from food coloring, everything. It's killing us. They have structured this system of, I like to call it slavery, but most people would call it indentured servitude, where people have to work all day, all week, all month, all year to have enough money to survive.
Yeah,
that's what a slave did. They worked enough to survive. They worked in exchange for their master to give them home and food. Now they just put a piece of paper in the middle. They say, now you work for this piece of paper that will give you a home and food that you're renting from the master.
Yeah.
It's slavery.
I think it's the mentality. It's definitely on the mind, because even if you study slavery, after slavery was basically abolished, like some slaves didn't want to leave.
Yeah, no, they couldn't
because they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And is that slavery?
It's the same way with jobs.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of the time, who created a job? And I think it's a concept of making someone else feel that there is a dream job.
Yeah.
That's a concept.
Yeah.
That was
created intentionally.
And like I was telling somebody earlier, I don't believe in a dream job. I believe in a dream lifestyle.
Now, if you have, for some people that might not think like us, you could, they have a job. People could offer roles if you get under a successful business. Even people like us, like, we want to start successful businesses to offer people jobs that are genuinely fruitful and prosperous, that may fulfill that person's needs. So that is a dream job to them, but it's not the job that's the dream. It's the lifestyle that the job offers them. So that makes sense.
A dream lifestyle over a dream job.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. It's crazy though, man. Like I said, I've been locked in a damn house, by my own choosing.
Right.
I haven't gone anywhere, and just been working, bro. Just trying.
What are the downsides of that, if you can identify? And obviously there are downsides to everything, but obviously the risk towards
the risk. You got to be careful with, you have to have a sound mind, because if people are in solitude, or people are by themselves mostly, and you have something that you haven't waged war against, if you're alone, there's nobody else around you to say, hey Carl, you messing up, you ain't going to the gym, you eating this, you sleeping, you have nobody to bounce off of, so that you are in control of your time in your life. Also, you have to worry about the risk of losing friends, I guess you could say. That's obviously not a risk to me, but some people have leeches as friends that you have to be around, or you have to hang out with, and if you don't, they're gonna feel some kind of way.
You're being weird.
And risk that friendship. So that is definitely a risk, but the reward is obviously much higher.
Right.
How much limiting distraction, and just to piggyback off of what we were talking about, our food is extremely it causes laziness and gluttony and lethargy out of people. Interacting with friends that you do bad habits with, that aren't constructive, that don't want to help you prosper at all, that's a distraction. You open up your phone, that's a distraction. It's controlling and limiting those distractions. Who knows what you could do if we had no distractions?
So what's the balance between helping a mass amount of people, which is a people sport, versus
my last
being
name is Peoples.
Huh?
That's why my last name is
Right.
Peoples. Not.
But versus being isolated, like what is the thing that you have to kind of, you know, re-engage yourself with to get used to being around people after being separate from people for so long?
Kind of what we were talking about walking, like you have to be able to meet people where they're at. And like every person that was a leader was an expert in something. So I am taking like the time of solitude to become a better expert in whatever I'm teaching and offering people. So when I step back into a more social environment, I'm able to offer more because I've been hibernating for 2 years, like mastering my craft.
Right. So
Right.
this is another question I ask because I understand it. When it comes to you dealing with yourself on a frequent day-to-day basis, how are you managing your patience with others? Because you're used to dealing with yourself. Like, how are you managing?
It's hard. It's hard. It is not easy to do, but it's hard to meet people where they're at. Like I'm so used to dealing with myself and like problem, solution, don't cry about it, or this is wrong, that is wrong, just fix it. Like, but other people, we can't expect everybody else to operate that same way. So it is hard, but just trying to remain like in an ability to tell people the truth in a loving way. Like that's what Jesus did. Jesus told people the truth in a loving manner. They built people up while giving constructive criticism. So that's something I'm cognizant about and I'm trying to get better at. But where people mess up is they tell the truth in a hateful way or they lie in a loving way. They'll say, Carl, you're this and that, blah, blah, blah. They might love you to death, but they're telling it in a hateful way. Or they're lying to you and telling and like avoiding or ignoring something that they know they should be bringing to your attention. So they're lying to you in a loving way.
Right.
But Jesus taught the truth and was truthful in a loving way as well.
Yes.
And that's the only way to communicate effectively.
I think that's like the balance. I heard a quote saying it feels like heaven going to hell, and it feels like hell going to heaven.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost finding that balance.
Yeah. Like I mean the way to life is narrow and like those who find it are few.
Right.
For sure.